Day 171 of the Ukrainian war map, also known as the Russian occupation of Ukraine. Jozzy here, and today is another update as I take a bit of a day-by-day, down-to-earth approach of the happenings on the ground in Ukraine. And as always, I like to start off with some of these Russian military losses. Now again, take it with a bit of grain of salt, indicative estimates really, but starting off, we have 43,400 Russian troop personnel losses as of today, with the notable military hardware losses of an additional 7 tanks and an additional 15 vehicle and fuel tanks. Now, something interesting to note here is that Russia is actually the second biggest arms supplier in the world, of course behind the USA. However, due to things like tank and vehicle losses in Ukraine, Russia has had to actually stop the export of certain military hardware to other nations to be able to support their war effort in Ukraine. So in other words, Russia cannot replace tanks anywhere near as fast as they are losing them. Now, moving across to the map here, we'll start off with the Sumy and the Chernihiv oblasts or districts here. So, of course, Russia continues to hold no territory in these oblasts. You'll see a lot of green here. This is previously liberated areas from the around late March, early April time when Russia did have to withdraw because it just wasn't working for them. But there has been, amongst these two oblasts, a bit of artillery shelling overnight there as well. And this photo is just a little one of shelling in Chernihiv there. And let's see, on that note, Belarus has extended military drills near Ukraine's border. So right over here and here. Now, I'll show you this little zoomed in image here, but this photo here is showing the Belarus military buildup on the left and the Russian military buildup on the right. So they're continuing with these military drills longer than they said they would. I guess it's to be expected. They will keep forces there right next to Russian forces there as well anyway. Now we move across to the Kharkiv region, and I'll just zoom in a little bit here. So the Kharkiv mayor overnight reported that a number of Kharkiv districts were shelled, hitting nothing strategic other than civilian locations like buses, residential buildings, and even a college. So that's not cool at all. Moving across a bit further down to the Donbass region, where shelling is intensifying at this time of the war. It's just getting stronger and stronger. It was a little bit weaker in the previous weeks and months, but they have re-intensified the Russian offensive there. And we'll start off with Slavyansk. Now, there hasn't been any real ground gained here from the Russian side. In fact, if I just go to the date map here, you will see they took a little bit of ground here, just northwest of Slavyansk. But this has been a bit of a tug and pull situation between Ukraine and the Russian forces. This little front line here, it keeps getting liberated and lost. So there's effectively a stalemate, I would say, there. Again, it's difficult to take a city or town like Slavyansk when there's a lot of natural borders here. It's just too difficult for a force to overtake it with, really. Moving around, I'll zoom out a little bit here, and of course many people query about Russia just closing the gap here. So it's easier than it looks. The thing is, if Russia were to have a northern and southern offensive at the same time to push through and get the remainder of the Donbass region, this is actually the Donetsk province or oblast here, effectively there's too much manpower that's required. You need about 300,000 to 400,000 Russian soldiers, so about 150 or 250 on each side, on the north and the south, needed to take the remainder of the Donbass. So they're not doing that. As you can see, with most of these arrows, they're taking it from the east, or attempting to take it from the east there. But have taken it from the north and the south would be just too many Russian losses. So they're not attempting to take it that strategic way at all. Moving on to Kramatorsk, which is a little bit below Slavyansk there. Hopefully I got that in the map there for you. So the Kramatorsk mayor reported that where a number of Russian missile attacks had occurred, mostly on residential buildings. It's both an unfortunate but inaccurate spray and pray methodology the Russian artillery frontliners seem to be using there, ongoing there. Now, certainly probably the most hotly contested area at the moment is Bakhmut and the cities and towns or villages surrounding Bakhmut here. So Russia keeps attempting to push forward here, but mostly being repelled. I think there was a small breakthrough here, right there. So if we zoom out, get a bit extra context. There looks like they're trying to get this main arterial line or the highway. Of course, any military does enjoy a highway for their supply lines as they try to get to Bakhmut, but they're constantly being repelled on that front there. If we were to go down just a little bit further there and have a look at, I think there was a bit of extra ground taken or lost. Let's see. So right here, there. But I think in particular, Pisky. So this has been a bit of an ongoing battle for Russia to take. They've taken a bit of ground on the southeastern side there, or portion of Pisky. But Russia are said to be losing a lot of their forces just to make these small gains at the moment. Of course, the other day I called Pisky sort of like an outer suburb of Donetsk, part of the Donetsk Oblast that they're trying to take. So perhaps Russia perceives it as a bit embarrassing that they haven't taken Pisky on the way to other villages, towns and cities there. Now moving across to Zaporizhia. Let's see. Now that is a bit further down here. So there were some Russian missile strikes in Zaporizhia around the city region there reported. Of course, Zaporizhia has the nuclear power plant right down here in Russian-controlled territory, beyond the Dnieper River, in fact, but it's all still part of the Zaporizhia Oblast, Hoda, right here, and of which the nuclear power plant had to turn off one of their nuclear reactors just really recently. I think they got either 4 or 6 from memory, and they said it was for safety reasons due to building-related damage, as we understand there. Moving across to Kherson, where it gets pretty interesting here. So, of course, both of these supply lines to the northern bank, where the Russian offensive is currently at, have been all but destroyed there. So Russia has had to rely on the Kakhovka Dam here, now, or the bridge of it. Now, the Ukrainian forces have successfully taken out the rail line and the bridge there as well. So this means Russia cannot successfully support their frontliners on the northern bank right here. And as the saying goes, infantry wins battles, but logistics wins wars. Moving across to just some news for the day here now, guys. So switch it off if you want to now. But starting off, the Swedish defense minister has said in an interview that his country is ready to produce weapons for use in Ukraine, saying, "We expect the conflict to be protracted, and therefore we believe that the supplies that have been made so far should be supplemented by direct production." So that's verbatim there, but protracted meaning they expect it to be drawn out, and supplementing Ukraine with a new military production from Sweden itself. So that's something there. Moving across to information from UK, really. More British M270 MLRS systems have arrived in Ukraine. Now, the M270 is like the well-publicized HIMARS systems that no doubt I'm sure you've heard of. The way the M270s work is more like multiple rocket fire, whereas the HIMARS are a little bit more high precision and just a single rocket at a time, but has a better shoot and scoot capability, so they can shoot and get away, so that any radars from the Russian side can't do an artillery or shell or a missile attack back to them with getting them. So it's a great little shoot and scoot there. In fact, probably back to the Kherson spot here, it's believed that a very high precision HIMARS was used to take out the bridge and the railroad right next to the dam there. But back to the missiles and their technologies, both have decent rocket distance range, so their usage each just depends on the objectives needed for any particular battleground location in the war in Ukraine. Just depends on what they need at the time. Moving further to some extra news. So let's see. Now, the war has set Russia's economy back 4 years in a single quarter. So a 4.7% decline in GDP. So roughly 1% per annum GDP gain over the past 4 years, but all of those gains were then now lost. It's also said that the Russian sanctions will have a slower but more long-term effect on Russia. So sanctions, economic sanctions, these are, so they are designed to really hurt the general public, to be honest, in a long-term fashion, making the general public tend to stop supporting their government altogether, and sort of an internal overthrow. Let's see. So next up and lastly, perhaps a little bit on the lighter side of news. A New York company raised over $120,000, I believe, through like a Kickstarter campaign to make an action figure of Ukrainian President Zelensky there. So I'm sure if this is successful and popular, they might make maybe another figurine of... The only other person I can really think of at the moment is Putin. I'm sure if they were to, Putin wouldn't necessarily have much of a smile on his face. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, subscribe, and like. And as I say, you've probably seen numerous troll comments below. So when you do like the video, it just helps to show the overall prevailing global sentiment and support for Ukraine in this unjustified war and occupation of Russia in the Ukrainian country here. So thanks again, guys, and I do hope to see all of you there in the next one. Cheers.